Hi, my name is Hannah Rainey. I am an artist of the human experience, and one of my most important subjects that I talk about in my art is PTSD. And I haven't had exactly the best last 2 days, so this is how I regulate my emotions when I don't have art and I don't have poetry, or I don't feel like writing. So I will take a couple of breaths and I sit against a wall, or I sit in sunlight where I feel the light on me, even if the window is closed. I like to have the sunlight, I like to feel the warmth on me. And I'll usually have a jacket on, or I'll have something that I can feel the texture of. So if I don't have that, I'll just grab my knees, or I'll grab my hands like this, right? But not in a way that it's going to hurt me, but I'll just let myself regulate and feel my body. Because when you have PTSD, a lot of times you just need to feel safe for a moment. And so I'm gonna try to keep this brief, but if it needs to be longer, I'll do that as well. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about what I'm doing, so you can follow along with me, and then I might do a silent one later. So I'm sitting and I'm thinking about my day. I'm thinking about my goals. I'm thinking about how far I've come. I'm thinking about different things that are trying to grab my attention. And I try to listen to each individual sound around me that I can tune into for a second. So I hear a car passing, I hear a plane, I hear some branches falling, I hear just my breath, the ends of my words. I'm just sitting, understanding that if I do need to have a place to express myself, that I'm the one that can provide that. Understanding that sometimes I only need 5 minutes to just breathe and to just be. There's no obligation. There's nothing around me that needs me right now. I do have a dog next to me. Oftentimes tea will help. Most of the times tea will help. Even if I don't drink the tea, just the warmth of the cup is enough to make me feel grounded and safe. I feel my vocal cords. And sometimes if I need to, I learned this actually from Katie. I worked with her before, and I will sometimes hold the back of my neck, like take my whole palm and feel the coldness or the warmth of my palm, and I'll put it on the back of my neck and I'll just hold it for a couple of minutes. And then I'll take my other hand and my palm and I'll put it on my head like this. And I just breathe. And I'll do that for as long as I need to. And I just let myself realign and straighten back out. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I'm not a yoga teacher. I'm not a mindfulness teacher or anything like that. These are just things that I've learned along the way, just different practices that I've incorporated into my daily life or whenever I can incorporate them. I understand that not everything is always going to go exactly the way that I want it to, and that there's always another way. Not everything is this or that. Not everything has to be one way. There's many different ways to get to the solution of a problem. There's many different ways to see the scenario. There's always another way. If you have a dog or a pet or cat or whatever next to you, you can just pet their head or pet them. Sometimes they'll just fall asleep next to you when you do this. And as you can see, it's already been 6 minutes. I'm one of those people, like, I have to look at the time. And, you know, today, and a big part of my practice is acknowledging everything that comes up. So I will acknowledge that today wasn't the best. I wish there was a better outcome. I felt like some of my time was wasted. I feel like, you know, I've been doing this particular thing for a while and was hoping for a better answer than the one I got. I feel excluded, and I feel like there may be something that I'm missing. And I also understand that this isn't it. There's more. And that I've been in situations harder than this, and I've survived 100% of my worst days. Barely at times, but I survived them. Right now, I am safe. I can breathe. I can see. I can smell. I don't have to hold on to, I'm not obligated to hold on to anything that's not mine to hold. And I'm present. I'm not worried about my past. I'm not worried about my future. I'm just right now being. So now I feel pretty good. Sometimes I'll incorporate writing or taking notes, anything that comes to mind. If I feel too overwhelmed or underwhelmed, then I'll just write it down. Or if I have if I can't feel anything, if I just can't seem to feel anything, then I'll take a pen and I'll scribble. I'll try to add something in here. I'll just scribble or draw, or just draw the same thing over and over and over. I usually like to use watercolors if it's available, because watercolors are, to me, forgiving, and they're a lot more easy to work with. If you have a pencil, that's fine. And I noticed that I used these techniques in school as well. So I may make another video in the future about just no commentary videos. You can just have this saved in a playlist if you want to as well. I'm thinking about, I just had a little memory pop up of me pulling this wagon in my backyard when I was a kid. I just was pulling it around the yard. I don't know why that particular memory came up, but I don't need to give it any additional thought. I can go back to it later because I know it's there. Oftentimes when I feel triggered or I feel like I'm about to have like a really extreme reaction to something, I just sit and think, and I try to do things that ground me back to being present. And I try to allocate time slots for myself in order to feel whatever I need to feel. So if I need to feel sad, I will let myself feel sad for 5 to 15 minutes if I need that. If I need to address something, I'll allocate myself 5 to 10 minutes for that. But I always let myself know that there is a space for me to feel, and there is a space for me to go into whatever that is. Because what that's doing is it's validating my experience, and it's allowing it to go somewhere besides just sitting with it and being uncomfortable with it. And then later on, I learned to get comfortable with the uncomfortable feelings. If it was just for 30 seconds, to be like, this doesn't feel good. Why doesn't this feel okay? Why doesn't this feeling feel okay? And then I would have other moments where I could take this feeling and realize that it feels similar to this feeling, right? So anxiety might have not always been anxiety. It could have been excitement, right? I could have been excited about something, but I related it to anxiety because that's how I felt it was. And then also allowing myself to be proud in that moment, to be proud of myself when I don't feel good, and acknowledging that I'm allowing myself to feel that. Because sometimes that's what we need when we feel alone. We may not know that we can cheer for our own self. So I feel pretty good now. It's only been 13 minutes. But the dog has fallen asleep next to me. And so for the next 2 minutes, we'll just sit here. And I'm not going to say anything. And if it gets uncomfortable, you can pause it. You can turn to something else. You can save it for later. But for the next 2 minutes, we're just going to breathe. Okay. So I feel like that was good. I feel pretty good. And I didn't always grow up with regulation of emotions or even addressing what was happening, right? And I think when we learn these different tools, it can help us in the long term. So, an example is I know my business isn't where I want it to be, but that doesn't mean it's not where it needs to be right now, right? I feel like I've really taken the time to learn what it is that I enjoy from my business and what I want to offer people. And as an artist, what my style is. It's very accepting of whatever phase I'm going through. And sometimes that requires me to just acknowledge I don't feel my best, but I'm doing my best. And I think that's just the main thing that I've learned from just living. It doesn't always have to be so deep, but it always is deeper than what I think it is. But anyways, I hope this helped you to regulate if you needed to, kind of reset your nervous system. A couple of things that I've learned along the way in learning these techniques is I learned a lot about CBT therapy. I learned a lot about my sympathetic nervous system and my parasympathetic nervous system. I learned a lot about the endocrine system and how all of those work together. Again, I am not a medical professional. These are just things that have worked for me and helped me understand what may be going on with my body. So, until next time.